Of a velvet blue sky, I dreamt about day. Oh, baby, this song. Oh, baby, this song. Cheers, everybody, to the new year. But yeah, scope it. I need to find some electrical tape. Which is a totally random way to start the stream, but I got new headphones. Not really. They're actually an old set of headphones that I had that was having some problems with shorting. And I see where the problem is. There's just a part of the cord that is frayed. So I could easily spend the $17 on a brand new set and have the same thing happen again. But these still work. I just need to find a little bit of electrical tape to do some patchwork so they don't continuously like try to short out. John, I have a theory about that. Troy Polamalu and Hines Ward are main members of the staff of the Alliance of American Football. Both former Steelers, as you know. So it's no surprise that Roger Goodell's having a little crybaby fit because there's a rival league in town now. In the Shadow of Archenemy Mania is definitely up there. I think it might be the best song of all time. But I don't know, this is really good. This is really amazing. But yeah, so long as I keep these headphones in like a particular position, they do exactly what they're supposed to do. But whenever I start moving around a lot, that's whenever they start to short, so I might just have to, you know, cough up the $17. I really don't want to, because there's only one website that offers them. Amazon doesn't even offer these headphones. I really love this. I love the style of these, and I also love the brand and everything like that. It's really, really cool. These are, I guess, ideal for like amateur radio and stuff like that. Waterblock, thanks, dude. Donations aren't really required today, but I appreciate that. We have a couple songs to play in that case. Throbbing Gristle with Hamburger Lady and Unsung with Whispers. Oh no, John, it definitely wasn't his fault. Am I going to play the whole album? I don't know about all that. It's a long album. It's an hour-long disc. Like, I know Waterblanc will be here the whole entire time, so he'll wait, you know, if necessary. But, I don't know. I wanted to play it as an intro. This is like the one super long album that's pretty well known that's never been requested on stream, which is kind of funny. So I just felt like playing it. I don't know. Listen, I have so many different things that I could probably or should probably be doing right now, but I just didn't know where to. I just did not want to do any of them. Oh god, Evil Toad, it's terrible. it's the worst. Oh my god, Delinquent Habits with House of the Rising Drum. I haven't heard Delinquent Habits in years. Yeah, I heard about the Archenemy problem. I got the post, I shared it over on the CKN Facebook page, and it's no surprise to me, really. I was rendering and was getting ready to post the top 10 Jerks of the Year list whenever I read that story, so they couldn't be a part of that list. They would have made it, though. I would have probably switched them out with... surprisingly not with Pat O'Brien, because I read some stuff right after I read the Archenemy stuff that made me feel not as bad about having Pat O'Brien on the list. So, excuse me. Excuse me again. So, that list in many ways is probably one of the one of the worst top 10 jerks videos that I've ever done, I would say, because it was the first time that going into making the list, I had to do a lot of it felt very last minute because I didn't do a lot of news videos this year. And that's something that should probably be added to the left-hand side there, that we would do a couple more news videos here in 2019. Hey, you joined it. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hey, Zach, what's going on, dude? Yeah, Kevin, there's a couple of folks... there's a couple of folks that just got suggested to the group from a group member. I'm not sure I don't really think that they're meant to be there, so I don't know. Yeah, DA, unless you're a mod, you can't post links. Sorry, dude. Or lady. Dude or dudette. I like Fireball Ministry. They're not necessarily a band that's going to set the world on fire. You know, they play a pretty derivative sound, but they're fun. They're fun to listen to. Oh wait, what happened with Archenemy was that they had a photographer. You know, I'm going to try and, like, paraphrase this, you know, Reader's Digest version this. They had a photographer that was taking photos for the show, a show that they were doing, and posted one of Alyssa, which then got shared to a brand, like it was a brand of clothing that I guess sponsors Alyssa, or doesn't sponsor Alyssa, or I don't know, like there's some hocus pocus going on there. And so this photographer, who's also a lawyer in the Netherlands, felt that this was a breach of copyright. They felt it was a breach of copyright because they were using his photo in an attempt to like sell their merchandise, and didn't ask for his permission for it. So he contacted them and said, "Yo, you know, this is a breach of copyright, but if you would like to pay a fee, either that or pay it to the Dutch Cancer Society." The Dutch Cancer Society is the one that's used for, there's like a Dutch version of Games Done Quick. You know, they do monthly marathons for the Dutch Cancer Society. So what happened there was that they got back to Archenemy, and Angela Gossau, who's the band's manager, got on the horn and accused this guy of sending a threatening email. Now, I read the email. There was nothing threatening about it. You know, this was a dude that is a lawyer, you know, knows his rights, and, you know, basically called out a company for infringing on those rights. Essentially, what it boils down to is that Alyssa spoke one way about it and then changed her story, probably at the behest of Angela, because Angela, like, lit into this dude and then fired him, essentially, as a photographer because he was protecting his living. So what's going to happen because of this is that a lot of people are not going to want to work with Archenemy because of that. Because essentially they are working for exposure, which... Okay, let me be real with you guys here for just a second. Let me be real with you guys for just a second. Yeah. You can't really do exposure whenever it comes to being a photographer, because it's not like photographers are well known like Archenemy is as a band, or... You know, they don't exactly work off of reputation similarly to other businesses. I mean, they do, but at the same time, if you've seen a photo, you've seen it all, you know? You take a chance on a lot of different members of the press, usually, whenever it comes to photography, because, you know, it's not like there's some, like, photographer extraordinaire that is, like, the photographer of the heavy metal stars. So anyway, Angela basically indicated through all of this, without directly saying it, that they expect that their photographers work for nothing. And that if people within her business interests want to use their photos, they don't have to pay them shit. And if there's a problem with that from one of the photographers, they can suck it. You know, essentially they can suck it. So yeah, that's kind of a really weird thing. Hey, you got a camera and a green screen. I got a camera as well, which people are still complaining about because, you know, that's just... I think that's like the CKN meme, really. I don't know, at this point. You know? Camera actually set me back about 200 bucks. But I had purchased one before that. I had bought another one. It was a piece of garbage. It was junk. My god, I still have to send that back, by the way. I still have to send that back. Yeah, there's a lot of folks here. How y'all doing, man? Got your first wall flag for Christmas? Yeah, I have another wall flag I need to put up that I got from a fan in a box sometime last year. It's a Jimi Hendrix flag, which is pretty awesome. It's pretty big, so I don't know exactly where I'm going to put it. It may not be anywhere in like camera range or anything. That was pretty good. Yeah, not too bad. Oh, of course they did. I mean, wait, who are they again? I still don't know who that is. I just see people complaining. I'm just like, oh, of course they did. That's life. Would I put a poster or a flag on an angled ceiling? Absolutely. Yeah, I'd say. An angled ceiling would be pretty neat for that, especially if it's a lower hanging angle. So if you have an area in your room which is kind of like just slanted toward the, like especially if it's like an attic or something like that, that's what I'm assuming that it is. Like if you have an angle that is heading toward the corner of a house, and that's like your studio or your room or whatever it is, I would put, listen man, hang your shit everywhere. Hang your shit everywhere, man. Thoughts on the upcoming Tool album? Oh, Pagan of the North. First of all, hopefully we get it sometime before 2030, and second of all, be very, very wary about setting your expectations too high. Not because I think it's going to be bad, but I think that because it's been such a long wait, our expectations have been kind of shot to the moon, and that's a dangerous place to be. Would I ever do green screen? I don't know, maybe. I would maybe do that. I kind of like what I have in the background. I'd like to shift it around a little bit more, but these walls are a little difficult to do that with. I literally have to get out the hammer just to put the push pins in for a lot of these things, and I don't really like using that reverse, you know, that like front and reverse sticky tape, mostly because that stuff ends up damaging the backsides of posters and stuff whenever I'm trying to remove it. And I've moved a couple of times, so I've had some posters that have just been downright ruined by that. Back in my my room whenever I was a kid, those walls were really nice for push pins. And then whenever I moved into the first studio, I had to go and start employing tape because push pins with that was a bad idea. Gems PS4, hey, thank you very much. Thank you so much. Oh no, oh dear, oh no, oh dear. Stalaga? That name doesn't ring a bell for me, Dark Edge. Any honorable mentions for the top 50 list? Yeah, Whiplash, there was 10 of them in the video. The honorable mentions in the video this year were right before number 1. So it's deeper in the video. There's 10 honorable mentions there, and there's so many because there were a lot of albums that had the same score. And that's one thing about the top 20, or not the top 20, the out of 30 system that can be a little bit challenging because you will have a lot of albums that have overlap whenever it comes to score. But yeah, I would say that if you have any space that could be used for things, so long as you secure it pretty well, then you shouldn't have any problems. I wouldn't have any sort of, I think that you should have no problems with that. The one thing I also have to take into consideration a lot whenever I'm hanging things is that I have cats. I have, and right now I still have 4 kittens. They were supposed to get, the girls are all supposed to get spayed yesterday, but the appointment got canceled, so we have to wait until the 14th of January to get them in, which is a bit of a schedule conflict for me, but I'm going to have to work that out. But yeah, overlap is a big thing that happens whenever it comes to the out of 30 system, which was supposed to represent sort of like star rating, with 0 to 5 being like 0 or 1, and then moving all the way upward, where 25 to 30 is essentially your highest, whether it's a 5-star or a 6-star. You know, imagine me as like the heavy metal Dave Meltzer, only I don't say as much whenever I speak. I think we'll give this till about, you know, 30-35 minutes, and then I'll switch it off for the moment. Pursued Mist, what's going on? How are you today? Good to see you. Good to see so many people coming out for the stream this afternoon. I'm kind of surprised by that, considering this was completely out of left field. I didn't plan on doing this. This was my response to procrastination, to be perfectly honest with you. I want to make a list of all the videos that I have to make, because it's a pretty deep list right now. I want to say it's close to 30. No, it's more than 30, because I have a couple things left over from a prior event that I need to do. And a couple of like viewer's choice things that I need to solidify. If anybody sees Dawson, in the stream today, or Dawson, if you are here, let him know that he's got to send me an email, because I want to know what his viewer's choice is for the last event. The last event we raised, should I say, quite a bit of money. We did pretty well. Yeah, 29 is going to be awesome. 2019 is going to be really, really good. And Ruben, you're right. Here's the thing, Ruben. Like I have a lot of folks that want to know. Like, I have a lot of folks that want me to check out all of these different albums, and sometimes you just can't get to everything. That's the big thing. Considering that heavy metal is such a rich environment that has so many artists to explore and check out, it can be a little harrowing. You know, you can look at that and be like, holy crap, you know, how am I going to look at all this crap? All the new folks that are in chat right now, there are a couple of commands. The first one that I'm going to show you is cdsale. There's a CD sale that we have going on, and if you're part of the CKN Facebook group, or have me added on Instagram or Twitter, and you check out that list there, it's a Google Docs list. If you check out that list and there's something that you want, all the prices and stuff are there. Send me a message over on one of those social media platforms, and we can get you what you need. There's just a lot of stuff that was added to the sale about a month ago, and I don't know, if you guys want some of those, then feel free. There's a little bit of everything on there. There's not just heavy metal, there's even some rap, which is wild. What's my #1 anticipated album of the next year? I really don't know if I have a #1, mostly because there's a lot of stuff that's being heralded as coming. I want to hear what this new Overkill sounds like. I'm always interested with Overkill, considering Blitz's voice continues to impress. Part of me is really anticipating Distance Over Time by Dream Theater, because I think that I think it'll be a pretty steady album. My fear is that it's going to be a lot like Haken from this year, where things will seem pretty good, and then I'll get the album and I'll be let down. Because the second half of Vector was just really, it was disappointing. Like, I was expecting this really great finish to that album, and it just didn't come. Oh yeah. New Devin Townsend is going to be wonderful. I can already foresee that. That's not something I question whatsoever. I'm hoping that we'll have new material from a couple of the groups we've talked about in the past, like an Abstract Illusion, but I have no idea. I have no idea if they have anything that's in production. I've tried to reach out to them, and I haven't received any response in that regard. I know that Maestrip, which is a prog band from South America that was on the top 50 list, could potentially have their next album out by the end of 2019, which is the second half of Expressa della Vita. So I'm hoping that that's out. You know, I really feel that it's going to be just it's going to be a great year because we have and explored so much of the underground last year that it just gave us a bunch of names to anticipate. And there's going to be the opportunity and the ability to do that again this year. You know, naturally there's tons of albums that I missed, and there's a lot of albums that I don't feel the same way about as other people do. And, you know, folks think, oh, well, that's subjective as opposed to objective, which anybody who critiques music is going to be subjective and not objective. Being objective with that is very difficult, considering if we were all objective about music, there would be no real style to it whatsoever, and everybody would believe or find the same things to be superior as far as style is concerned. So, yeah, Lunar is, it's either Lunar or Lunaire, because Lurch and I were talking about that, and he even mentioned that to him, and he also shared the top 50 video to him. Orphan Land saw the top 50 of the year video in which they took the crown, which is wild. We shared that post over on the official CKN page. You know, the only thing that I can tell you guys about 2019 for certain is be patient whenever it comes to the first couple of months, because I'll be... I do secondary work as a tax... not tax collector, a tax returner. You know, so I do tax returns for folks through a company, and then I do some individually. So I will have I will have something else on my plate for the first like 3.5 months of 2019. So streaming for the first couple of months is going to be like a 1-day-a-week thing with maybe a second day, all depending on what else I have going on, you know, stuff like that. There's a spot right that's coming up where where there's a big break in the song, so I'm going to probably end things there. But anyway, you know, I'm trying to try to balance out having videos released and made, you know, created. Fortunately, this new camera shortens the process of editing a lot. It doesn't shorten the process of rendering, you know, because that's all time based on file size, but there are some steps that have been removed, which I'm thankful for. And plus, the whole thing with the volume, I can take care of that. I wasn't sure how to best do that with manual volume control, because there's a manual volume control option on that. Thanks to everybody who's decided to drop a little bit of scratch post Christmas. Gems PS4 with the $5 Canadian. Bubba Mike with $1.99. Wants to hear some Genesis. Metal Fury popped in another donation for Periphery with the light, and then Evil Toad just dropped 5 for Dire Peril, Blood in the Ice. We're going to go ahead and play a couple of those tracks. Yeah, that was what you were just hearing. That was about 35 minutes of Light of Day, Day of Darkness by Green Carnation. It is an hour-long album. The main man of Green Carnation is Chort, who was at one point in time an emperor. And Green Carnation was the original band that was going to be his main project until he got recruited into Emperor. So here's kind of how everything sort of swirls back together. This is actually a really interesting part of heavy metal history. So the history of Green Carnation is that they were all going to get together, and this was going to be the band back in the first part of the 90s, in the middle portion, you know, like the front to the middle part of the 1990s. Short got recruited to Emperor, to play with Emperor, and so Green Carnation, instead of going on without him, because it was pretty much his baby. So I'm not sure if he like held all the rights to the name or anything like that, but that doesn't really matter. The remaining members actually started another band that we spoke about this year, and that's In the Woods. So as Short was doing his thing with Emperor, they were all collectively doing their thing as In the Woods. And they released about 3 albums, and one of those was like a covers disc and an EP. And then whenever Emperor dissolved during the turn of the millennium, whenever Emperor dissolved, Short decided to start working on a kind of a masterpiece, which ended up becoming Light of Day, Day of Darkness. So this was Green Carnation's like first real big release. And they had a couple of others that followed directly after that. So Green Carnation is a group that right now I believe is inactive. I believe they've been inactive since, I want to say, the middle part of this decade. So I don't think it's been very long that they have been inactive, but we haven't heard anything from them in, I want to say, a couple of years. So note that how one man affected 3 different acts, essentially. And so In the Woods, after they split, they were still active. It's just that now they were active with Green Carnation, and they weren't doing, you know, at least partially. There were some, you know, lineup shifts. But this album was considered at the time of its release to be one of the most ambitious projects in heavy metal history. This was considered to be exceptionally ambitious. And there had been one-song albums long before this, with albums such as Crimson by Edge of Sanity. But this one got press due to its length and due to how ambitious that it was. It was crazy. It's a crazy, crazy thing. So we're going to go to something that is completely different. For those of you where this is your first time in a CKN stream, we don't play just heavy metal in these streams. I play what is requested, and if you're not here, like if I don't see you here whenever your turn comes up, I wait to play it until I see you. So, as an example of that, there are still 3 tracks from a prior event that I hope to play the next time I see a gentleman who I do not currently see in chat. New Slipknot album will be Iowa Levels of Heavy and Aggression. Bubba, I think that that's a really good thing to... I think All Out Life is a great example of what he means by that, and it shows you that he's being genuine. And it seems to me like they really approached this album within that same mindset. So, that to me points to it being a more aggressive album, which their albums are always rather aggressive, but if they're making a particular point of it, then that tells me that this may be, it may approach as one of their heaviest albums, if not their heaviest album to date. This is Delinquent Habits. They are actually a hip-hop group, one that I remember from the 90s. I remember a song of theirs called Tres Delinquents from 95, I think it was. So if this is a recent song, I'm surprised, because, wow, I didn't realize that they were still active. It doesn't look like it is. This looks like it's pretty, this looks like it's older, but still, I don't know much about them aside from Tres Delinquents. I remember wanting their album that had that on it way back in the day. I think it was just self-titled. I think it was just called Delinquent Habits. Funnily enough, my best friend and I are both big wrestling fans, and we've even wrestled in a couple of, like, you know, low-key backyard companies and stuff like that. And our tag team name was The Delinquents, and it was partially due to this song. Not the song it's about to play, but the song Tres Delinquents by Delinquent Habits. And yes, ads are annoying. I understand that, but it's how we make our cash. on YouTube, so please be accepting of those ads. If you see a couple more mid-rolls, just, you know, take a drink or something. If you could, you know, skip them as quickly as you can. Help a brother out, man. That's what keeps us going. Yo, it's what keeps us going, man. It's what keeps us going, man. I like the Grateful Dead. Yeah, I actually did a video on the Grateful Dead. I want to say it was back in 2013. I went with my father because my father won tickets to see a movie pressing of Sunshine Daydream, which was a show that they did back in, I want to say it was like the mid-70s, like 73. That was made with some renown because of its, like, it has one of the best versions of the improv Dark Star, if you know the song Dark Star. Like, it had like a 33-minute long version of that, which is just such a trippy experience. And they like did a whole documentary type style video on it, which I would say the documentary part of Sunshine Daydream was more like just explaining what brought the show about. Because most of what you got from that experience, it was like going to the movies to see a performance, which was pretty cool. Like, just by listening to this, I feel like I should be watching Lucha Underground in the background, because if you remember, if any of you have ever watched Lucha Underground on the El Rey Network, they always have a musical guest that performs, like, the introduction to the show. Lucha Underground's a decent wrestling promotion. It's a shame that I don't think that they're going to make it another season. They lost a lot of their talent. Like, one of their most popular talents, 2 of them, should I say, 3! Wow, I could just keep on naming them. 4. Okay, for those of you who are wrestling nerds in the chat, they lost John Morrison, who's now Johnny Impact, who could potentially go back to WWE. They lost Ricochet, who's in WWE. They lost Matanza Cueto, who is Jeff Cobb, who's in Ring of Honor and New Japan. And they lost Pentagon Jr. That's all. Thoughts on G.G. Allen? He's dead. Really interesting individual, to say the least. Not necessarily like the biggest fan of his breed of quote-unquote anarchy, mostly because I think a lot of it didn't accomplish much aside from, if you went to a G.G. Allen show, you weren't sure if you were going to leave unscathed. So if that was all he was attempting to do, then mission accomplished. But I don't think it really did much to affect the scene as a whole, like in a larger way. 2019 needs Pentagon versus Minoru Suzuki. Big Nick, I love the way you think. Also, it's always a pleasure to see like some of the dates that you're going to be on, because you're the I know you're the indie wrestler that was in the chat before. But yeah, dude, that'd be an awesome match. I think that Suzuki right now is one of the more underrated fighters that's out there, and the matchups that he has are always really hard-hitting. That's where you kind of run into some problems, because if his opponents can't take that, because a lot of those are exceptionally stiff. Like, some of those are legit stiff. I know that in one of the matchups against, I'm trying to remember exactly who it was. I think it was the Stone-Faced Pitbull. I think that in one of the matchups, like, dude's bell legit got rung, and they had to improv for a couple of minutes while he came to, because they were supposed to have this whole big match, you know, which ended up going, like, I would say 15 to 20 minutes, and one of the very first shots of the matchup caught him a little too crisp, and his lights were out for a little while. Here's Light by Periphery. This is also requested by Metal Fury. Have to give that a little bit of a lesser volume there. Yeah, that Unearthed album was not very interesting. Hey Louie, how you doing, man? For those of you who are wondering what the event is, yeah. Ladies love it. Men will be horrified by it. Okay, ladies will probably be horrified by it too. That is a piece of CKN lore that we don't... It's kind of like Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club. Yeah, yeah. Ishii is a great seller, but he does... He thinks that he is literally... He's literally a warrior. Like, you see him and you see, like, Hero from a Kung Fu movie. Like, you see him as being the person who is going up against the Yakuza and just kicks their asses. The event. That'll happen at some point. That'll be its own stream. And will not be... And that's a stream that you're going to want to be at if you want to see it, because it's not going to be available anywhere else. Video on demand for these streams doesn't... They don't ever really exist because of copyright. You know, to give you a little history of that. Copyright, you know, I'm able to play the stuff on stream without any sort of problem. But whenever it comes to having it available on YouTube, copyright destroys that. So a lot of times these streams end up blocked in many countries, if not all of them. Thanks, Metal Fury, for the $5 for the Misfits with Descending Angels. Great song live, by the way. I've seen the Misfits live 3 different occasions and traveled a couple different places to see them. Check Pornhub the next day. Wait, what? No way. No, you're fucking kidding me, man. Is the first one on there? I'll have to look at... I need to check that out. If not, then it should have been. I mean, not at all. No, it can't be over there because that'll get, like, downvoted. It'll be, like, at, like, 10% because I don't actually show my, you know... I mean, I don't do anything interesting. But anyway, dude, Louie, that track is really good. Your router refuses to adhere to complacency? I know that feeling. Trust me. I've been there. We know the number of problems I've had with my router over the course of the past couple of months. It's the whole reason why we don't stream on Mondays. But the 24-hour stream is going to be the one that's really interesting because it's a great example of that. The longest stream that we've done has been 6, and that was like death. Like at the end of that, I was gone. I was gone. I was so exhausted. There you go, Evil Toad. Was that here on YouTube or was that over on Twitch? Yeah, that's something else. Spider-Man 3 was, it was sure a movie. It was sure a movie that happened. No, Waterblock. Whenever I started with Metal Furies, you were not present. Or at least I didn't see you there. So we'll go back to yours. No worries, dude. Oh, great! Finally, my SoundCloud career can begin with the event too. But yeah, that's going to be really interesting to be live for 24 hours. That's going to be one where I'll probably employ another thing that you see over there, which is first streams being on Twitch. I will definitely, I'll probably do that over on Twitch because the gaming element is a little bit more I don't know. I just like the smoothness and the crispness of Twitch as opposed to YouTube whenever it comes to stuff like that. I've tried to do, like just bring up a game. I know it's partially my equipment, but I don't know. That'll be a stream that will definitely require video games or like something else aside from just me sitting here talking for 24 hours, because I know that after a couple hours that by itself can get boring. So I would rather have some things going on in the background. I'm not so much, like with that stream, I'm not so much worried about, oh, there's going to be times where there's nobody in the stream or like there's only going to be 2 or 3 people. I'm not worried about that. You know, I'm more so interested to see, well, first of all, I have to, you know, I'm fulfilling an incentive, but second of all, like, am I missing a whole entire, like, demographic of people considering I don't stream at 3 in the morning? Because I am not the Clint Stevens or Caleb Hart of YouTube. Here's Throbbing Gristle with Hamburger Lady, by the way. That's upcoming. Like I said, Waterblunk, I thought that you had to leave for a bit, so I held off. So we have Throbbing Gristle with Hamburger Lady, then we have Unsun with Whispers, and then we'll toss it over to a couple of others we have here. We have some Genesis, Dire Peril, Misfits, and Big Nick tosses in Baroness with Isaac, The Binding of Isaac, CKN Club for Life, and you can actually do, there's a command for that. I think that's what it is. Oh wait, I think it's actually CKN Club. It's one of the two, I'm pretty sure. There it is. Yeah, it's CKN Club. And then there's also Cat. Meow. Until your router starts to give you... Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I know that you were having some trouble with that, so I didn't want you to miss your tracks because of that. I try to do as much as I can, but I will admit that if crowds begin to get bigger, that's going to be a little bit more difficult to achieve. And, you know, I want the crowds to get bigger. I'd like to see a lot more people in these chats. Not just because, you know, ooh, more opportunity, dirty, greedy, Jewy, CKN. I just like having a lot of you guys together. And, you know, this has been proof right here. You know, we've had bigger problems and difficulties whenever it comes to folks. Whenever we had, like, only 15 people in here, but yet, you know, whenever there's 40, 50, 60 people watching, y'all are just lovely. Y'all are just lovely. Goku, I have a funny story to tell you, if I'm being honest with you. So I'm at Christmas dinner over at my parents' place because Faith and I, we eat twice. We went over to her folks' place, which is rare because usually, like, holidays are here, but for once it wasn't. We went over to her folks' place and ate, and then we went over to my parents' place and sort of like ate again. You know, it was sort of a nightcap type thing. And we had carrots on the menu, and she said, "Can you please pass me the Kakarot's?" Or no, wait. She either said that or the Gokus or something like that. I'm like, really? Yeah, I can take donations without song suggestions, absolutely. Some people just want to be nice. I'm fine with that, you know? I'm okay with that. You know? I'm not the type of person to, you know, I'm not somebody who can tell people what to do with their money. Yeah, Kakarot. Yeah, those carrots were not Super Saiyan carrots at all. But that was pretty funny, and my parents, who of course know nothing about anime, are deliciously confused. Like, what the fuck is going on? You know, why? They're carrots. Why did this dumbass girl that my son's dating ask for Kakarots? I'm pretty sure my dad looked at me like, "You dumb shit. What the fuck?" type of games am I going to play? I don't know. Probably a lot of retro stuff because I'm more of a retro fan. I have a big old box of games that I can actually offer some of them to you guys if you guys like games. Like a long time ago, I bought the first Red Dead Redemption, as well as I'm trying to remember the name of the series now. Ethan Drake, I think, is his name. The hell? Oh man, Uncharted. I think it's Uncharted 3. And I've not really touched them very much. They're both for PS3 though. They're not PS4, so you know I wouldn't ask very much for either of those. But if there's anybody who's a gamer that wants a couple of PS3 games, or just wants to know what kind of games I have in general to offer to y'all, you know, shoot me a message and I can tell you. I can let you know. I can add games to the CD sale. Why the hell not? Unsung with Whispers is up next. This is also from Waterblanc. I think I need to change my position on my headphones again. Nope, no I don't. I'm good. Was it over 9,000 Kakarots? No, not at all. That was a song, indeed. Yeah, Ethan. Why am I... Who the hell am I thinking of? Ethan. Yeah, it's Nathan Drake. That's my bad. But yeah, I got the games like... I got the games at a local store because Faith got a PS3 and she was using that mostly to like watch TV and stuff, and she got a number of games also that she barely played. She played a lot of Fallout New Vegas, but then after a certain period of time she just stopped. But yeah, I'm more of like a I'm an SNES gamer by trade. You know, that's the console that I know probably the best aside from like NES and N64 also. Like I'm very much not so much a Nintendo fanboy, but I played mostly Nintendo stuff. I had an Xbox for a while, and that ended up becoming a glorified paperweight very fast. I didn't even have very many games for it. But yeah, if any of you guys are curious about what kind of games I can offer, Goku, I know that you do I know that you have a lot of games that you utilize for videos and such. Oh, hit me up, dude. I have a couple that I would probably make available. Like, I have everything that's for sale currently over here in like this big old pile. And there's 2 stacks of CDs that you can see, but there's 2 other stacks that are behind them. So there's about, like in all, like you have about 170 different items to choose from if you do decide to go to exclamation point CD sale. That guy's a manifestation of everything reprehensible about what YouTube reviewer entitles. Oh man, those are the sweetest words anyone's ever said about me. Thanks, Waterblanc. Oh boy. Hi Joe, how you doing, dude? You planning on building a big queue up and taking over one of the streams? Damn. Just think, the last one was that was 3 hours worth of music. In before Evil Toad decides to take over the 24 hours of CKN. What is on the queue? Right now we have some tracks. We have a Genesis song, Dire Peril, Misfits, Baroness, and some His Infernal Majesty, some hymn. As Goku did drop $3 to hear Killing Loneliness. Do I despise dogs since I only own cats? No, not at all. That'd be genius, but I can't afford that. Yeah, let's let's do a little bit of quick math here. So if you consider $1 per minute, there's 60 minutes in an hour, so 10 hours is 600 minutes, 20 hours is 1,200 minutes, 24 hours, that's another 240, so that's 1,440 minutes. So you're dropping like 1,500 bucks. The funny thing about that is that I've seen that done in a stream twice in the past week with Twitch bits. Both for the same streamer, mind you. They were both for Caleb Hart 42, who I have to say I enjoy watching his stuff. I enjoy watching his stuff. Mostly because he took me back to FF7. So that was like a super duper like nostalgic throwback. Yeah, I saw that on my because I'm subscribed to you, so I saw that on the crap. I just completely lost my mind. I completely lost my brain. But yeah, I saw that you made that video, so I do still have to watch that. The Chaos Legions is still available. The shipping is dependent upon where you live. So, like for example, if it's domestic shipping, it'll probably only be like $2 for the shipping. But if it's international, then I unfortunately do have to charge a little bit more for shipping. So, you know, with shipping with any of that, it's really based around where you're at and how much that, like how many albums that you get. So, like for example, if there's one guy who straight up gets between 10 to 15 albums every single time he orders, and so his shipping cost is a little bit more pricey, but not really all that bad because he's domestic. But like for example, shipping just 2 albums over to Waterblanc, and just to have those fuckers fucking you know, lose it, and it's not like I can recover it, you know, by saying, hey, okay, well you guys lost it, send it back to me. If they lost it, they don't know what the fuck it is, retards. Anyway, that was like 15 or 16 bucks, which, to give you guys a little like lesson, an actual like business, in Hell's Headbangers wanted like $60 for shipping, which is absurd. But hey, Zordak, thank you very much. $30 or the 30 Norwegian krone, should I say, donation to hear a little bit of Def Leppard. Let's hear Wasted. This is the Chamber of 32 Doors by Genesis. This is off of The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, which is, if you're into like old progressive rock, and then you are probably very familiar with this. You definitely know about this, but if you're unfamiliar with this album, it is an unsung classic. It really is. It's a terrific album that, like, Genesis is a band that gets mentioned a lot in many lists, but you'll be more quick, I think, to hear folks talk about Rush or even Yes. They'll mention Genesis in sort of passing because they are arguably the most successful out of all of those, but a lot of folks, I feel like there's a number of people out there that are very unfamiliar with their discography, and I myself am even a little, like, I get confused every now and again whenever it comes to some of that stuff, especially whenever it comes to dates and what songs are from which album.
I'd rather trust a countryman than a town man.
Yo, you're a spam account, but at the same time, Luther's a badass show, so I'm totally allowing that. Luther's a legit badass show. So, listen. This is a warning, but at the same time, I'm saying I'm allowing it. simply because it's a show I actually like. If you would have been talking about, like, I don't know, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, y'all be in band land right now. There you go, Waterblonk. M. Night Shyamalan. The Last Airbender is not your least favorite M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong movie. That's really bad for whatever that you find to be worse. I guess I will find out. I know that Shyamalama Bama Dama Bananarama is coming out with a new film in 2019. I think it's pretty early in 2019, is it not? Like first quarter 2019, he'll have a new film out. Yeah, Zordak, if you're into classic music, you know, if you love tunes from the 60s through the 80s, they're one of those bands that I feel a lot of people put off listening to despite always wanting to. Either that or they listen to the tracks that they know and think that that's kind of enough. But their 70s material was so wild. Oh my. If you want a good start, and again, this sounds like shameless self-promotion of the CD sale, there is a album that's available, though, from Steve Hackett called Genesis Re-Revisited 2. It's a double disc, so it's a little bit more expensive than the other items that are in the sale. It's like $9. That's a really adequate place to go. You're not going to hear it from the band themselves. You're going to hear it from artists that you recognize, that you know, like Steven Wilson from Porcupine Tree's on there. Same with Mike Ackerford from Opeth. I think both of them are actually on Supper's Ready, which is a massive song. But yeah, if you like what you're hearing with Chamber of 32 Doors, you're going to love the hell out of Genesis's, I would say their 70s material up to maybe like 78, 79. Once Peter Gabriel leaves, then the material does change quite a bit, but it still retains a certain shimmer value to it. It's not really until the 80s where the band starts to totally become Phil Collins' baby, and at that point he had his solo career also, so the material shifts quite a bit. So it almost sounds like two different bands, principally because if you want to be kind of legit about it, they sort of were two different bands. You know, Gabriel's Genesis and Phil's Genesis were kind of different babies of the same vein. You know, so they had very similar makeup, you know, as far as who was in the band, but the material does take on some very different elements. That's what makes their discography, I think, pretty interesting. Blood in the Ice by Dire Peril up next. This one recommended from and requested from Evil Toad, who at one point, very, very recently, had 180 minutes worth of runtime on this very stream and just absolutely fucking killed it, dude. Dawson! Hey, I was looking for you, dude. Dawson, I don't know if you ever sent me an email about your viewer's choice video, but you do have the option for that. This is a song about The Thing. The film? The Thing is like a super good film. Demon War Gear was a definite disappointment. You know, if you notice, that's not even an album that's mentioned by folks in the comments of that video. So you're, where is it? You know, you don't see that very often, if at all. For as long of the time that they were off, I was very let down by it. Vector by Hotpen is another one. I wasn't as let down by Vector. Like, that was... to tell you how close it was to making the list, had it been a top 100 list, Vector would have probably made it. The Haken album would have made it. Dimmu Borgir would not have. Dimmu Borgir would not have made it, even if it was a top 100. You actually forgot the email? It's all good, dude. That's why I'm here. I provide occasional reminders if required. Nathan22, how you doing, man? Smash the guitar just to give him a new one for Christmas? That actually sounds like it'd be kind of a nice surprise. Like, you do that and you do that to somebody and they are like pissed as fucking hell at you. Like, they're wondering what the hell you're doing that for, and then you're just like, bam, ta-da. That alone would definitely make up for it, and you'd feel like a real dick. You're like, man, I was so mad at you, but okay, this makes it better. It's sometimes really hard to watch things that involve like anything where a dog or a cat or like even a bird gets, you know, killed. But you know, a lot of things, I just remind myself, hey, it's a movie, it's a show, it's entertainment. It's not something that actually happened, you know, and it's not something that actually, you know, they didn't actually kill an animal in order to get those shots and do those things. And if they did, then, you know, if they did, then that person goes on my shit list, and I have to use my telepathy to kill them. Andy, I wondered what your number one was. I cannot think whatsoever. Drawing a total blank. The first Tomb Raider movie was alright. Cradle of Life was really underwhelming. I remember I was watching that with a friend of mine. We'd gone swimming that afternoon, and it was getting pretty dark, and it was going to rain. And so we went back to Studio 1.0, which was also like an apartment that I lived in, and we watched Cradle of Life. And I remember about halfway through the movie, we got distracted by just anything else that was happening within that room. You know, oh boy, there is a creek over there by the desk. Oh, have I showed you this? Oh, scope out this, you know, video on YouTube back in 2008 or 2009. You know, she and I were basically just bored of that film. Not even halfway through. Oh yeah, that movie. Oh yeah, that album.
I'm so tired.
Again, with Muse, I actually have I have feelings toward that album because of certain songs, and also because of the band themselves. Because I know they're going to be all right. Some might wonder why that applies to Muse, but it doesn't apply toward like a band like Machine Head. Machine Head has let us down in the past. Machine Head has let us down in the past, and this album showed a lot of quote-unquote true colors. That's sort of the difference. That's why Simulation Theory, for example, didn't end up on the list for top 10 worst albums. You know, mostly because those other albums I just liked worse. But also, I know that Muse is fallible. You know, they're capable of kind of a bad album. Like, The Third Law, I didn't like. I didn't like The Third Law at all. But then they came back with something that was great with Drones. And now they're at least exploring alongside of the music, as opposed to it just being a stinker. Like a total clunker. See you later, Bubba Mike. I thought that I just received something a lot more interesting on my phone, but not at all. Well, you have to remember one thing, though. There's 15, I think, tracks on that album. There's a lot. There's a lot of fucking music on that album and so like one or two songs is not gonna save it at all. You know, again, they have the same opportunity as everybody else to come back. You know, because Rob wants to continue the band, so he wants to continue it with other musicians, I guess, or do something. You know, if this killed his career, I wouldn't be surprised, but I doubt that's going to be the case. The next album could be good. You know, I'm going to approach that album the same way that I approach, you know, Catharsis, Unto the Locust, you know, The Blackening, any of those discs. You know, I don't approach an album differently with the expectation that it's going to suck just because a band has generated garbage. You know, if that were the case, then Metallica would never have had a chance with Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Like, they would have just been immediately dismissed as it's going to be a garbage disc. And that would have been completely wrong. It would have been completely incorrect. So, again, Morbid Angel's a great example. You know, Morbid Angel comes back, waits 6 years to deliver their follow-up to La Divinium Insanus, and it's a great album. Kingdoms Disdained is a really good disc. I was very satisfied with it, and I know that a lot of folks were as well. There are some that I follow who absolutely adore that disc, and rightfully so. You know, Queensryche has had albums that have been list-worthy ever since Dedicated to Chaos, as an example. Now, there are those that never really make it past their own stigma. You know, bands like Five Finger Death Punch, or Immure, or Attila. But, again, you have to remember, I approach every one of these albums the same way. I approach these albums with the idea that, hey, this has just as much of a chance to be a really nice surprise and a good album as it does a bad album. And with a group like Five Finger Death Punch, as I mentioned in the video, one of my biggest disappointments with that band is that they have the talent, they flash it every once in a great while, but they just do nothing with it, and it's just so disappointing. Descending Angel by the Misfits. Like I said, I've seen the Misfits 3 different times. They always play the song at live sets. I've seen them on the east side of Pennsylvania over in Allentown. I've seen them here, like near Pittsburgh. And the third show I went to New Jersey for. McQueen's Rick, Jeff Tate. So yeah, it's just... I know that there are some folks that are constantly talked about. They look and sound like they're targets. That's not why I do it, man, you know? If I'm let down by something, I'm let down by something. That's just how it is. I've been waiting for the Five Finger Death Punch album that I can really sink my teeth into and say, yo, there it is. That's why I keep giving them chances. And that's why I'll continue to keep giving them chances. That and because I'm a sucker. But speaking of Queensryche, they do have a brand new album coming out in 2019. So, that's of course the non-Jeff Tate Queensryche, because, you know, Jeff Tate's band is now Operation Mindcrime. Here's the thing that I'm really hoping for very, very soon. I know it's not going to happen in 2019, but God, just sometime before I die, I would like for the movies that people are anticipating to not be superhero flicks or like vampire movies. Like, I think about all of the classic movies from the 90s, like whenever I was younger, and I consider, would they even be considered the same way if they were released these days? Like, I look at Forrest Gump. Instant classic. Just a beautiful movie. If it's released in 2018, it doesn't become a phenomenon at all, I don't think. Not one bit. It's not considered a classic because of that, and we're deprived of something awesome. You know, vampire movies died when Twilight happened? Yeah, they probably did, but you know what I mean. Like, instead of it being superhero films, it'll be like supernatural films. Like, all of a sudden, it'll all be about like werewolves and rougarous and, you know, backward vampires, you know, toaster monsters, giant trash bags with legs. Actually, that might be pretty funny. Somebody make that movie. Giant filled trash monsters. Forrest Gump is sweet, man. I love that dude. I love that movie a lot. I haven't watched it in a good while, but I really don't need to. I've watched it so many times in my life. It's like, I don't want to say instant recall. That's Faith's cousin. That's one of her favorite movies. So it's kind of easy to talk about that film because it happened all the time. Evil Toad's gonna go out and make trash bag monster movies. By the time he's done, Troma will have nothing on him. Only his films won't be Troma, they'll be trauma. After watching this movie for 2 hours, I needed therapy. Here's Isak by Baroness off of the Red Album. Which, man,
travel tip.
It's really, really sad to me to be old and say, I remember when this came out 10 years ago. But I remember when this came out 10 years ago. Actually, it's a little bit longer than that. What's going on, Gyrolam? Oh god, Evil Dead and Army of Darkness are two like instantaneous watches if I see them on TV, which I won't anymore because I no longer have cable, and I don't have PlayStation View any longer because they jacked up the rate. So there goes my sports viewing, unless I decide to like drop $50 a month, which financially I am not in a place to do that. So that kind of boned me a bit. And I'm definitely not the type of folk that likes to like toss something like that on a credit card and then pay later. You know what I mean? I do that with Honor Club for Ring of Honor, which is $9.99 a month, and that alone, like, I don't know. I really want to keep Honor Club. But I'm on that lower tier, which means that if I want to purchase a pay-per-view, or if I want to see one of their pay-per-view or their on-demand events, I still have to pay for it. I didn't go to the $12.99 a month tier level, which I should have, because I end up paying more by doing that. That's no bueno, dude. That's no good. Hey, Cody, how you doing, man? Yeah, the one thing I do like about Prime is, and also with Twitch, is that they've been playing a lot of those Thursday night football games. I would love to see that happen a lot more with sports, where if you're with Twitch or something like that, you get the sports on there. Because, listen, companies like that can still make a ton of money from advertising. You know what I mean? My Christmas was pretty good, man. Thanks for asking, Alec. It was pretty low-key. We ate twice. You know, we didn't do much in the way of, like, gift exchange, because, you know, there's a lot that we want, but there's not a lot that we actually would, like, kill for. You know, I got a shirt that actually I'm not wearing today, that says, Best Cat Dad Ever, or, like, World's Greatest Cat Dad, something like that. And then also I got this right here, which is Hugh Laurie's novel entitled The Gunseller. I'm a big Hugh Laurie fan. House is my favorite show of all time, as you can see up there. I have a poster of Dr. House. So I have known about this for quite some time. And I always kind of like looked for it, but I never looked very hard. Because whenever it comes to online shopping, whenever it comes to shopping online, I don't like to do it unless I absolutely have to, or like I feel like I can spare the money, because I know that I could easily become an addict to online shopping because of how much is available out there, you know what I mean? So, like, as a help to myself, I do not do that. I show a lot of restraint with that. It's like one of the things I can show restraint to. As opposed to other things, such as smoking. Unfortunately, my road to quitting has hit a couple speed bumps. But New Year's Day is coming. That's my... that was my initial quit date that I had targeted. So we'll see what happens. You know, I will not be home during that event. So I will have every reason to not smoke because I'll be at someone else's home. But it'll be just sticking with it once I do begin that once again. That week that I was going for it a couple weeks back proved a lot to me. It proved that I could very, very, not easily, but it is extremely possible for me to do this. It isn't something that is completely out of my grip and out of my grasp. Like, I'm not such a lost cause where I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm going to take a quick little break, though. Like I said, if you want anything from the CD sale, send me a message over on Facebook or Instagram or... Oh, excuse me. Or over on Twitter. It's !CD sale. I will toss that in chat for you. New Year's resolutions never work. Well, here's the thing. Like, it's something that absolutely needs to happen. Like, I need to do that. That is one of the habits that's been close to 10 years that I've been a smoker. And that's just no good. That is no good anymore. I've been smoking pretty much as long as I've been doing CKN. But anyway, while I'm on break, I'm going to toss on a track from the #2 album of this year, which is Ostra's The Room. This is Darker Shade of Black. I love this song, and if you guys love it, go to the Amazon link that you see underneath the in the description box of the video, and go order yourself a copy of this album because it is tremendous. Oh, before I go on break, you may remember we talked about a band the other day, Exemptus. We talked about these guys, and we even played a song from this album entitled Sentenced by Delusion. These guys are a thrash metal band that's based out of Maryland. I just got confirmation yesterday that there's going to be a box coming for me probably very soon that's going to have a couple of copies of this album within it. Somebody who is a fan of, a friend of CKN happens to know the band very well. So I will have these, a couple copies of this album available to win in 2019. So, that is going to be super duper exciting. I'm really pumped up about that, and really pumped to spread the word of Exemptus. But anyway, here's Darker Shade of Black from Ostra. I'll be right back, and we'll have a couple more tracks to play. Oh, God.
Watch your favorite 24/7.
I hate these YouTube commercials for YouTube TV. a little like publisher's note. There are a couple videos I'll probably be processing this weekend and maybe posting that will be of the old video quality, so be prepared to see a lot of comments saying, "Oh my god, the quality's gone, what happened?" and telling them that they are videos that were shot earlier in the year. Oh, I forgot I got back here right in time. You know that moment whenever you're, getting busy, and that person that you're with, the eyes start to roll to the back of their head. Oh, that's what that transition does to me. Oh my god. Oh my Lord, have mercy on my poor soul. Oh. Killing Loneliness by him up next, which is going to feel so different by comparison. Thanks for the request, Goku. Here it is.
This bag.
After this unskippable ad from McDonald's. Ugh. I don't think it's so much that it's unskippable, but it's for McDonald's. I don't mind ads. I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I don't really mind ads all that much. Because, like I said, I'm in that boat. Gotta make a living. But I think it's mostly because it's for a company that I no longer use. Like, I'm no longer doing that. Low is from it's one of my favorites from Bowie, but it is, if you're expecting what you've heard on the radio and stuff like that, it's different. It's a very different album. So I would probably go with Ziggy Stardust as a good first intro, like a first foray into a Bowie album. Kind of go with that classic David Bowie. But Low is excellent. Like, Low's a really, really strong album that unfortunately gets overlooked quite a bit. That's kind of where I am with that album. Bowie is an artist where if it was released in the 1970s, there's a good chance you're going to really, really love it. His last two albums are very good. His last album was absurdly amazing. It was so good. Maybe one of the best of his career. And then he died a day after its release. So, I mean, it has a lot of personal meaning to Bowie fans. But yeah, it's just... He has a really wild career. There's some of his 80s and his very limited work in the 90s is kind of love it or hate it, But his 70s material is hard to talk about negatively in any way. I remember whenever this band was the biggest thing going. I dated somebody who, her entire friend base, male or female, and as a result, my friend base were massive fans of this band, and I was the outlier that was not into this at all. I listen to it now, and I like it whenever I listen to it, I don't mind it all that much at all. I think Vil has a great voice. I think that's one of the best parts about it. And also, in many ways, a composition such as this one makes me think that if this came out, say, in the latter part of the 90s, it would have been big. I mean, it was big whenever it came out, but, the video for it has 13 million views, but this band could have been even bigger, which is wild. Do I think that Ghost will be the next big band? Parlook, I don't think it's the idea that they'll be the next big band. I think they are the current big band, if you want my honest opinion. I think they are the big band. There's going to be a video in the near future that does, however, talk about that Ghost will never reach the heights, say, of Metallica. That will be on the channel. That was funded during Video Mania, which was an event that we had here in the streams between November and December. So be on the lookout for that. I'll get into why I think Ghost is the biggest band going right now, but why they'll never, I think, reach those heights. And a lot of it has nothing to do with Ghost themselves. A lot of them has to do with where the industry is right now, approaching 2019, as opposed to where it was in the 80s whenever Metallica became massive, you know? Greta Van Fleet already has songs in advertisements, and I think they do have a real, I think they still have a chance. But again, what they are going to need is a combination of two things, one of which can happen, the other of which will only happen if the first one happens. What you need to see happen is they need to explore their sound more, or just accept the fact that, hey, Led Zeppelin was definitely an influence. I think that really turns people's piss into freaking blood, that they think they're way too pretentious about that. We'll be talking about Greta Van Fleet in a couple videos also. But they need to be more than just Led Zeppelin, you know, at this point, essentially Led Zeppelin 3.0. They need to be a little bit more than that. Here's Wasted by Def Leppard. We have one final request after this. We have Angel by Massive Attack. Thanks to Waterblanc, I appreciate it. I appreciate all the requests so far today. I don't know if we're going to go beyond like 6:30 with this. Like I said, I'm just kind of hanging out just to hang out. I'm not even vlogging this. You know, I'm being super duper tranquilo with this. Just like I said, I wasn't initially planning on streaming today. I wasn't planning on streaming until like, good lord, the middle of 2019, in the middle of January. But this tells me that I should just pop on from time to time. I wouldn't say that the Black Crowes were a ripoff, but I think a lot of folks elevated them to status of Zeppelin because of Jimmy Page's involvement. That was essentially Led Zeppelin 2.0. If Led Zeppelin had maintained their you know, had they gone on past 1980, because the band would have changed. The band would have changed. What do I think of Jeffrey Nothing's new music? I haven't really listened to any of it, Mason. I apologize, so I can't really deliver you an opinion. I saw something else up there a little higher that I wanted to see. What band is as big as Metallica that isn't in the Big Four or Black Sabbath? None of them. You know, Metallica is the biggest heavy metal band in the world right now, and they've had that title for a while. You know? The one thing that you need, if you're going to ever be as big as Metallica, is that you have to be a band that is known by non-metal fans. You know, you have to transition over into basically pop culture. And again, Ghost could potentially do that, but they do have a couple of things. Like there's even some things about their music that make that very difficult. And I don't really see that happening. They have a sound that very easily could transition over and be accepted by a lot of people, but there's just something about lyrics like, such as what I quoted in the Top 50 video, you know, don't you forget about dying, don't you forget about your friend death, don't you forget that you will die, that I don't see transitioning over the same way as something that's really not even that far behind it. You know, whenever you consider Metallica, you know, folks will mention Enter Sandman a lot, but they love Master of Puppets also. You know, Master of Puppets, I'm pulling your strings, twisting your mind, and smashing your dreams. Blinded by me, you can't see a thing. Master, master. Just call my name and I'll make you scream. Like Melvins? Yeah. Yeah, man. Melvins and associated projects, because they've been doing a lot of, like... Well, they've been doing what they've always done lately, which is whatever the fuck they want, you know? There's no easier way to talk about what Buzzo and the Melvins enjoy doing than just saying they do whatever the fuck they care to do. Got a couple more donations to continue the stream. We have Rosemary by the Deftones from Big Nick 7513. Oops. Lady Strange was trying to play there. And then the Blade Runner end titles by Waterblanc. Almost make it feel so fitting if that were the last song. Almost make it feel so darn fitting. We have Angel from Massive Attack. This is off of Mezzanine. If you have not heard Mezzanine, if you've not heard Massive Attack, another really, really good non-metal band. Listen, you don't have to listen to just heavy metal. In fact, I would almost say that if you listen to nothing but heavy metal, no you don't. Stop lying. Stop lying to me, stop lying to other people. You know you listen to other stuff. Be proud of exploring the whole of music. I ended up seeing Ready Player One. I didn't, actually. I'm trying to remember if I saw it. What did I see in theaters this year? I think I saw like one film in theaters. I think it was Deadpool 2. I don't do movies a lot, mostly because the theaters around here are a waste of money. Teardrop is, of course, the theme song for House, unless you are watching it on Amazon Prime or Netflix or anything like that, because they can apparently only secure the rights on like every 17th episode. I don't know, because they usually just use the outro to House as the entrance, you know, as the opening theme. But if you have the DVDs like I do, you hear this song every single time it starts. Not this song, but Teardrop. This is Angel. Angel is a different beast altogether, and it still has that same haunt to it, which is really awesome. Someone should request Portishead's debut album. The whole thing? Holy crap. You can listen to everything except for country music? Oh boy! Try Chris Stapleton or Sturgill Simpson, my man. Or go into country music's past. Go into, you know, like classic Reba McEntire, Patsy Cline, Bonnie Raitt, George Jones, you know. Even some of the bigger songs from the 90s weren't like the most annoying songs in the world, like Chattahoochee. I have bad memories about that song simply because of how overplayed it got, like everywhere that I went whenever I was dating a girl back in like 2001. Because her family, her stepfather was a member of the Moose Lodge here in town, and they had a jukebox, like an old school jukebox, where you requested your music that way. But for the members, they had rigged it where the members could request songs pretty much at random. You know, they got like a certain number of requests for free per month, or like on certain days or something. And that song got played a lot. Between that and Friends in Low Places and the damn fucking Cha-Cha Slide. Like, any DJ, like if you're a DJ, this is why maybe you don't want to become a DJ. You're gonna hear the Cha-Cha Slide more times than you can count. You know, you think that Baby Shark is bad? Yo. I would say that all of the views of the Cha-Cha Slide that you hear, or that you see on YouTube, are probably from DJs that just use YouTube as opposed to, you know, traditional software. Alright, Louie. You have yourself a good one, man. I forgot to get the water I was going to get. God damn it. Oh well. Such is life. I started off with this right here, a yogurt protein shake that Faith found whenever she was at Big Lots for like next to nothing. Apparently, these are pretty good, and these are very, very good for me. Protein, calcium, both things that I need. The only thing it's missing is vitamin D, which I need more than anything because I'm vitamin D deficient, which sucks. But I think one of the bigger reasons why I've not gotten sick this year is because of multivitamins, vitamin D through almond milk or like muscle milks like that, or protein shakes, and just generally taking care of myself a little bit better. Do I like Gravity Kills? I haven't heard much from them, but I know of them. How big do I think Orphan Land will be in a few years? Orphan Land is a band that will be respected. I don't necessarily see them becoming a massive group, but I believe that in Europe, especially, they will be a hugely respected band. They don't play a style of music that caters to American audience as well, unfortunately, aside from those of us who really love progressive metal. It would be interesting to see what would happen if they ended up on a tour with, say, Dream Theater, though. Or a bigger progressive tour like that. If that ever happened, and that's one of the big reasons why I'm not a huge fan of bands that do gigs where it's just them and no opener. Like, no opening bands. Sometimes if you're a bigger band, you need to have some of those other bands on the tour in order to show that there is a full scene of this. There's other bands that are out there, and give some of those fellow artists the rub, because the way in which you are going to do better as a band is if there are other groups that are complementary to yours that make it a full-fledged scene. That's the reason why metalcore was very popular in the first part of the 2000s. That's why thrash metal bloomed in the 1980s. That's why grunge did well, even though they didn't really want to. There was just a sound that was picked up and a lot of folks loved, and eventually what happened was record labels were trying to get every single grunge band that they could, to the point where they overplayed their hand. Similar to what they did, they overplayed their hand with hair metal and thrash metal also. Because you'll note that a band such as Heathen was on a major label and actually sold 250,000 copies of Victims of Deception. And that's a name that, unless you're a metal fan these days, isn't really very much remembered. Which is unfortunate, considering Heathen is fantastic. Onslaught supposedly has a new album coming out in 2019, which is pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited about that. I'm not sure of the status of Heathen. They just released an album a couple years ago. Rosemary from the Deftones, off Kono Yokon. Excited to hear what these guys do next. Thinking that it might be 2019. Rosemary's fantastic. Hi Andrew, you just discovered Earthside's debut. Oh buddy, Earthside's a tremendous band. They have new material that is on the horizon, from what I've been told from some folks in chat over the course of the past few months. The new Avantasia with their song entitled The Crow, I believe is the name of the song. The Crow? Maybe I'm wrong about that. But anyway, the new album comes out in early February, and that is got a big old target on it whenever it comes to me, because Avantasia is just a really fun band. They're really good, and their flair for the dramatic is a type that I love, and it's a supergroup project. And you know how much fun supergroup projects are to cover, and talk about. Anytime Arion has a disc out, it's always like an instant listen. Same with Avantasia, for sure. Yeah, Mario isn't here today. I hope that means that it's because she's having an awesome day, or she's catching up on her sleep. What about Vector? I haven't heard anything about Vector yet, but I know that the band is they're soldiering on. So Vector by no means is Rip. Vector is not Rip. You enjoyed the Country Goes Black Metal video? Hey man, I've had a couple people tell me that in the past month, so that tells me I might have to pull some sort of stunt for April Fool's Day this year. I feel comfortable telling y'all this because, yo, y'all be the ones that are going to share it to death, hopefully. Yeah, I know about Author and Punisher. I know a lot of folks really like their recent album, but to me, it didn't resonate as much with me. But it was good, you know. I feel like the heavy metal Dave Meltzer. Shit. Maybe that's my new, like, nickname. Maybe my new nickname is Heavy Metal Dave Meltzer. Shit. Whatever. Just come on every week and have some dude yell about everything that's happening and just be like, oh, this is what they're doing, actually. Some Porky Pig listening to the guy, but at the same time, I respect his opinion. Oh, Lil Wayne goes black metal. Oh, Christ. I should actually go the opposite direction with it, is what I should do. Like, I should have it be like heavy metal ghost country, or, I don't know. I'll think of something, I'm sure. Am I going to start giving Japanese bands 7 stars? Yes. Baby Metal releases an album in 2019. They're an instant 7-star. Dude, I love that reference. I'm not gonna lie though, Okada versus Omega. Like, you look at that crowd, you hear the announcer's voice crack at the end of that, the American announcer that is. That was a big deal. Despite the fact that his title reign has been kind of underwhelming. If a band came out that founded Slam Gaze, Slam Gaze might actually be kind of interesting. I'm not gonna lie, that might be an interesting concept. That might be something that gets me into Slam. Although I'd probably like the Gaze moments more than the Slam moments because I'm just... I don't know. MJK has been confirming a new Tool album for like 7 years now. But they've gone one step further though. They have studio reports and stuff now that are available on YouTube, so I think we're getting closer to an actual release than we have been in years past. The bad thing about Kenny Omega's title run, Big Nick, is the fact that the chase was so good that there was absolutely no way that the title reign was going to feel as important. So that's the danger of 2-year builds. That's really the sort of the danger of 2-year builds. And I also hate what's happened to Okada because of it. You know, I know that they had to get Okada away from the world title. That way Omega could have, you know, different challengers and different opponents. But still, it was almost a lose-lose situation all around. No matter who took the title off of Okada. Internal bleeding? Alright. None of the Gargano-Ciampa matches got a 5-star rating. I noticed that Dave isn't as big into like the super hardcore stuff. So I wonder if it's partially due to the fact that those were gimmick matchups. Because Gargano and Almas got 5 stars back in January. And I'll be honest with you, it's underrated and underappreciated, but after I watched that match, I've watched it like 4 or 5 times since then. Whereas the Ciampa Gargano matches, after they were done, I was done. And he also gave 5 stars to the... okay, so it's not because of gimmick matches, because he gave a 5-star rating to the North American title ladder match that was at the TakeOver before WrestleMania, where Cole went over. Cornell. Hi, buddy. What's up? Did Nintendo sue Soulja Boy? I don't know if they did it yet. The perfect out was whenever Naito won at Wrestle Kingdom 12. I don't know. I don't know about all that. I think if you... Well, on a domestic level over in Japan, it probably would have been the better move, considering Naito's popularity is... If it far outreaches Okada's, despite the fact that they do love Okada. So yeah, on that sense, that probably would have worked. But then you'd have to... And I guess it's true also that Naito has had a lot of matchups where he started from behind this year. You know, he's actually put... You know, he's put people over. He's going to win back the Intercontinental title at 13. That's... And if he doesn't win it at 13, I think he's going to win it, or somebody is going to win it at New Year's Dash. What I would say is that if Tanahashi wins the title, the world title at Wrestle Kingdom, Omega's out the door. He won't re-sign with New Japan. And that'll be either because of All Elite Wrestling or because he's going to do something dumber like go to WWE. So you could have Jericho beat Naito, hypothetically, at Wrestle Kingdom, keep the title, lose it at New Year's Dash to somebody different, and then have Naito begin the chase against Tanahashi for the world title, which would make a lot of sense. And then have the real, like, changing of the guard, the true sort of handing it to somebody else, be to Naito, as opposed to it being to Omega. Because if Omega's not planning on sticking around past his contract, then there's no real point in passing the torch to him. And then Omega's reign will just feel really lackluster, but it's whatever. Is that a dog in the background? My downstairs neighbor has a fairly large dog that can be very loud at times. So yeah, it probably is. Well, thanks everybody to everybody who was here today. We at one point peaked out at more than 60 people, which is pretty awesome. I was glad to see all of you who are newcomers to the stream, or those of you who just haven't been here in a while. We'll be streaming, like I said, between 1 or 2 days a week for the next 3.5 months. Starting in January, probably like the middle part of January, or maybe even... I know that after the 1st, we'll probably stream 2 days that week. So 2 days next week we'll probably stream, or maybe 1. It might actually just be 1. I don't know. The next week there won't be a stream at all because of AGDQ19. So I won't be available. And then after that following week, I start work with the tax office. And that Monday, which we don't stream on Mondays anyway, but that Monday, that's whenever the spay clinic is going on for the little kittens. So yeah, we'll have at least one stream next week, and after that, the next stream that you can probably expect would be sometime after the 15th of January. So if you want announcements about streams and stuff like that, we don't do them very often, but I'll try to be a little bit more efficient about announcing them over on the Facebook group or the social media stuff. If you want anything from the CD sale, please send me a message on any of the CKN social media sites. CKN on Facebook's easily found. Same thing with Instagram. On Twitter, it's at the coverkiller. And again, you can find the link to all that's available at !cdsale. We'll have merch in 2019 as well. I know that we were supposed to have it this year, but what kind of cautioned me from doing that was the fact that we needed to get back into a lot more videos. Because our circle here in the streams might be small, but there is a bigger circle that is out there whenever it comes to the videos themselves. So let the numbers really begin to speak for themselves. That way more folks can have the opportunity to get it. But the biggest thing that's happening in 2019, and those of you who are still in chat will get to hear it, wait, what? What? So. That's $125. That's $125 from Evil Toad that says, "Welp, I want to end the year in the best way possible, and since I've got a bunch of Christmas money, I figure giving it to you is a pretty good use for it. Hope you have a happy New Year, Mark, and everybody in this community." Evil Toad, thank you so very much, dude. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Do me a favor, Evil Toad, because you have dropped such a ludicrous amount. Email me with another video idea. Email me with another video idea. I know that you have one that's on the horizon with the Rinkamall Overkill that we will not do until after February, per your request, and the new album's release. That way we can include it. Send me another one. Just send me another one. I thought about making an incentive for this stream before I went live, where if there was $100 worth of donations, then somebody could request a video to be made. But I decided not to do that because, I don't know, I just felt like hanging out today. I didn't want to have incentives and stuff like that, but since you did that, request me something, dude. Via email, man. Thank you so much, man. That's crazy. You have been exceptionally generous over the past couple of months, man, and I am in awe of that. Also, with the video in mind, you also now have 125 minutes worth of music that you can request. So 2 hours and 5 minutes, just like that. That's something else, dude. Like, I am floored by your generosity, man. Man, you could have done a lot of other things with that Christmas money. Instead, you decided to. I'm honored. Thank you. And this feels like an even better time now to mention that this year is the road to 100,000 subscribers. This is the road to 100,000 subscribers. We are on the road. You know, people say we're on the road to WrestleMania. Well, we're on the road to 100,000 subscribers. I don't know how things are currently with how many subscribers are, how many people are joining up daily. If we're going to make it, we'll probably end up very far from that goal. But we're sure going to give it a hell of a gentleman's try. We are going to go for 100K. All that I can ask in order to help with that mission is tell your friends, tell your family, tell your pets, tell any appliance that you have that has a YouTube account. Tell the world. Spread the news. The good news, that is, I guess, this. I don't know. We have one more track that we're going to play. Thanks again, Evil Toad. Wow. We have the end titles to Blade Runner. This is requested from Waterblanc, and once again, seems like a very fitting end of the stream. So we're just going to go into it. Wow. Again, just floored. Just floored. Dude, I'm not even, like, sneaky enough to, like, lie to somebody I care about, so I just don't do it. But with this epic music, once again, the road to 100,000 subscribers is here. You know, after that, then, to hell with what happens, because I know I'm never going to make it to 1 million. Hell, I'll probably never even make it to 150K or 200K or whatever, considering it's been 10 years and we're not even at 100K. But who knows? You never know what'll happen. Everyone's always going to complain about this and that, these and those. But what's most important about all of this is the message. What's most important about all this is heavy metal music. And just the concept that, hey man, we might listen to a style of music that's considered the most violent on the planet, the most angry on the planet, but that's mostly because we care about this planet. We care about what goes on. Be good to one another. Be good to one another. Wrong only those who have wronged you. You know, do not make it your mission to wrong people for no good reason. Try your best to be a decent human being, because this is all we have, folks. This time that we have on this spinning rock is all that we possess, and what we do is what matters. That's what we're going to be remembered by. We remember all of these musicians or actors or celebrities for their work. That's what they have done while on this planet. We can be just as legendary with what we do. We may not be remembered by as many people, we may not make publications and lists, but to the people who we touch and affect, to the people whose lives we make better, we will be remembered. This is the end title screen, or sequence for Blade Runner, the original from, let's say what, like late 80s? Early 90s? I'm right now completely just unable to lie, for the most part. I can do little whites here and there, like if it's not something that's all that threatening. Did you eat that? Maybe? Mostly because I can't remember what the hell I ate for breakfast this morning. I don't think I actually had breakfast. I need to eat. Shit. Well, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. After I close out of this, I'm eating. Because I need to. Whoopsies! Whoopsie-daisies! But anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out, showing up, and being cool with me for about 2.5 hours today. 2049 was pretty decent. I will see you guys in January. I hope that all of you, your family, your friends, anybody that is major in your life, including your dogs and cats and other pets, I hope you guys have had a Merry Christmas and you guys have a terrific New Year. Really, whichever holiday it is that you just celebrated in December. But I hope 2019 is really good for you guys. I hope it's really great for us. I hope that this is a community, CKN family, that just continues to grow in size, and so we get a lot more brothers and sisters to really bond with and become very close to. CKN Club is a family, and we are for life. Take care, everybody.